George R.R. Martin is all the rage right now, and rightly so. The man delivered some fearsome content that has hooked us for years. Since the 10 episodes of House of the Dragon have been wrapped up, we've all got many questions. For instance, how much of it was with Martin's approval? Would he change anything? We know you want to know, so let's find out together. First, let's talk about just how much of a part did George R.R. Martin play in House of the Dragon. You know it wouldn't be wrong if we called George the father of the series. Through his brilliant words, vivid imagination, and the urge to keep writing, we've got these amazing shows like Game of Thrones and now House of the Dragon. So beyond just writing the manuscript and getting the tale of dragons, very different from the dragon tales we grew up with, mind you, how much of a part did he play in the show? Well, we're sure you already know, but George R.R. Martin is one of the showrunners of the HBO series Fire and Blood. But that's not all. Apart from being the author of Fire and Blood, he's also the show's creator and executive producer, along with Ryan Condal, who participated in the prequel to Game of Thrones scriptwriting process in depth. This particular professional partnership began in 2013 when they collaborated on the Game of Thrones television series. And very recently, on October 24th, the prequel of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon's first season's 10-episode run came to a close. Quite the legacy in itself, isn't it? Who'd have thought they'd come this far in 2013 with multiple spin-offs already lined up? Now, let's talk about the team as a whole. The prequel, House of the Dragon, explored the intricacies of the Targaryen family's quest for power and ambitions and how the tragic dance of the dragon plays out. To bring that vision to life, a big group of highly skilled actors plays the roles of royals and their allies or contenders, and among them is Matt Smith as Prince Daemon Targaryen and Paddy Considine from Peaky Blinders as King Viserys. Big names for a big show. Our women are no less. In place of Millie Alcock and Emily Carey, who played little Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower respectively, Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy portray their adult counterparts, who will remain for the upcoming season. Now, let's get back to Martin. How much does the author continue to give his input? Apparently, not so much. Up next, is R.R. Martin too busy for House of the Dragon? Yep, it seems so. The showrunner, Ryan Condal, describes how the author of House of the Dragon manuscript was initially very involved, but things gradually changed during production, as they often do. He notes that while Martin and several writers were accessible at the beginning of the project, none of them continued to work after the show was formally picked up. Ryan says that while he tries his best to keep the writer updated on the show's development and shares all the information, including scripts, messages, cuts, and why you did that questions, it seems it's all in vain. Martin appears to be a very busy guy. Ryan would ask the author, "Why does this matter?" or "Who is this person?" And it's true that at times, George would truly engage, read extensively, and provide many comments. Other times he'd say, "Go with the gods," and that's that. Go with the gods. We don't know about you guys, but we find that quite amusing. So how does the show work with schedules like this? It must be noted that it's incredibly challenging for Martin to interact with the showrunners at the rate they'd need him to and provide input on every choice. The train's simply moving too fast for that to happen. But he's always in the loop at the end of the day. Ryan promised him at the outset that even though the show might not always go precisely as he asks, he'd always be consulted, and Condal feels he's upheld his word. And isn't that all that matters? Let's shed some light on what Martin's input means for House of the Dragon. We don't know if you've heard, but co-showrunner Ryan Condal is a big fan of the franchise. The guy's doing his dream job. So naturally, Condal makes it a point to involve Martin in most creative processes, from the beginning as a simple admirer to including him as a co-creator on the show. Martin said so himself in one of his blog postings just before the premiere of the Game of Thrones spin-off series that he had seen all 10 episodes and had loved each one. The author went as far as claiming that the House of the Dragon is everything I dreamed it would be. It was dark, strong, frightening, and magnificent to look at. He commended the actors on the show for their hard work in bringing the characters to life and making them rich and powerful. The input today is also crucial this time around, in contrast to how Martin's situation turned out in the later seasons of Game of Thrones. He claims that he was purposefully kept in the dark, and naturally, the final season didn't play well with either the show's viewers or Martin, and in the end, the author regretted that his writings fell behind the show. Condal actively keeps the renowned author involved and considers his vision during the various development phases of House of the Dragon Season 1 speaks volumes about how well the show's production has gone. This will also prove to be an important stepping stone for the creation of Season 2. Coming up, let's talk about another George R.R. Martin creation now, The Winds of Winter. While talking about House of the Dragon staying true to its core during production and the ultimate show, whispers of Season 2 started circulating. In response to those, George R.R. Martin shared in his Not a Blog article that while the showrunner Ryan Condal's attention is currently on House of the Dragon Season 2, his is on The Winds of Winter, and we couldn't be more excited. So let's dive in. The long-awaited sixth book in George R.R. Martin's best-selling A Song of Ice and Fire series, the fantasy sequel The Winds of Winter, is something that, while he's still working on it, he's also very sick of talking about the book. Ah, the perils of unfinished projects. But this book won't go in the never-finished pile, don't worry. The author recently told Vanity Fair that he's making progress. He may have given up on any hopes of predicting the finish, but he knows that he will finish. Every time he tries, he fails, and then everyone gets angry at me, and it ends up making no sense. That sounds like quite a stir, Martin. Up next, apparently, fans are worried about what will happen to the unfinished books, in case George Martin dies. Yep, you heard that right. It's an actual concern among the Fire and Blood fans. And that's not all. Apparently that concern has also made its way to the author's radar. That probably wouldn't have been the most pleasant of moments, but he decided to address it in an interview with Vanity Fair in true George R.R. Martin fashion. Martin shared that he's hoping COVID won't kill him, so that the problem won't come to light either way. But people are speculating online about what will happen to the remaining books if the author faces an untimely death, which strikes him as horrifying. Ouch. Sending you virtual hugs, George, and we'd be lucky to have you around for a long time. The Fire and Blood author said that he prefers not to make assumptions about life and death, and either way, he doesn't feel like he's about to die. Well, there you have it, folks. We hope that eases some of the fans out there. We realize it's meant in good faith because the fan base, including us, would be devastated if Martin felt near to dying. Not just for the unfinished project, but because of what a treasure trove of stories he is, a true living legend. Now, let's look at the progress on the book The Winds of Winter. While the author has finished speculating about his lifespan, or the end of the book, he hasn't finished telling us how the enormous book is coming along. George R.R. Martin recently disclosed that he's around 75% done with the book, which he says would be longer than any previous entry in A Song of Ice and Fire. While that's an encouraging figure, we should note that the last book in this series was published more than 10 years ago, and currently, 75% only means the manuscript. It'd still need to go to the publisher, the editing process, and some finishing touches, and then it'll make its way to the shelves. Considering the stress they're putting on the book's length, it's also possible that it may get split in two, which isn't so bad if you think about it. So it seems like Martin will probably complete Winds in late 2025 or early 2026. Before we speculate further, let's wait for it to finish, and we'll find out the rest later. That's a wrap. Let us know what you think of the House of the Dragon finale in the comments. Hit like and click that subscribe button, and we'll return with another video. Bye.